If you're a young man, you've probably asked yourself, should I focus on dating or money first? Choosing the wrong one can set you back years. We see all these videos where, you have the Sigma grind set and you want to progress in life and you want to make 10k a month. But then you also see people just traveling the world and having fun, going to parties, picking up chicks. And it's really difficult to figure out, which path do I choose? What is best for me? Which order should I do it in? But in this video, I'll share my own story and the lessons I've learned about focusing on fitness and success at one point in my life and going all in on dating at another point in my 20s. When I was younger, I was struggling quite a bit socially. I had a couple of friends, but I was not able to attract any women, and that's really what I wanted deep down. I wanted the attention from women. I wanted to not necessarily have a girlfriend, but at least to sleep with a couple of women, get some experience under my belt. That's what I wanted when I was 18. And I didn't have any experience with any women, no girlfriends, no hookups, no nothing. I think I only had maybe a single kiss at that point from a girl, so basically no experience. And I was obsessed with reading about how to get better socially. Yeah, I made the classic search, how to pick up girls, and I started reading about it. I started reading a lot about it, I remember when I was 17. And the thing is, I spent years just reading about that and was obsessing about it, but not really putting much of it into action. So I think from 18 to 21, I was just reading a lot about social dynamics and how to get better socially, how to meet girls, how to talk to girls, how to make out with girls. But, well, did I have many experiences? No, I barely had any, even though I was going to uni. I wanted it, but I just still couldn't get myself to really put myself out there and talk to more women. I really tried. I ended up being in a bunch of social clubs where I would naturally meet more people, and that made me so anxious. I was very overwhelmed back then. But I tried a lot, I grew a lot socially, and it did definitely make a difference back then. But the thing is, I don't think this was a good strategy now when I look back, because I didn't get with a lot of women. I didn't get a girlfriend back then. I really didn't get even half the results I was envisioning. But then fast forward to my mid to still early 20s, I started realizing maybe I should actually focus more on myself. Maybe I should start working weekends, skip some parties, and ignore some of these distractions. Just work on my body and work on building a business or a skill on the side. And this was not to impress anyone. This was just for myself. And I also made it my identity to be a super saver and prioritize saving for my long-term goals and not really focus so much on the short-term pleasures. So I started waking up at 5 a.m. during the weekends, learning and trying to build something, and starting to build my body, take that more seriously. I was still going to the gym when I was at university, but I was drinking right after going to the gym sometimes. I remember one Friday I went to the gym we had at my dorm, and some people I knew from the dorm, they would literally knock on the gym window and say, we're having drinks at the bar, please come. And I would just 10 minutes later be at the bar in my gym clothes, drinking with them. So how many gains do you think I made at the university? Yeah, not many. So after doing this for a couple of years, where I started saving, I started building, I had actually saved up quite a lot of money. As to this day, I've saved up 70k and I've achieved a solid fitness base. And I've gained the freedom to choose my path, and it allowed me to date on my own terms. Because that's really when I kicked the dating phase into overdrive. I started dating a lot again, and suddenly dating was effortless. I was so surprised. I had changed a lot as a person over the last couple of years. I had gained a lot of experience, but I was just a much better package than when I was 21 at university, and I didn't have much of anything going for me back then. That also meant when I got back into the dating scene, I got a lot more female attention. And then I also managed to attract and score my current girlfriend, who I'm in a happy relationship with now. So this is why I think fitness and success should come first. The reason why fitness in particular is really great is that it builds your discipline and your confidence. When you start going to the gym for a year consistently, you start to take on this identity of someone who can stick to things, can do things, can actually get some proper results with the thing that they are committed to. On a side note, it doesn't take very long before it makes you a bit more attractive, and it also boosts your mental health. I think in many cases of me and my friends, when we started training consistently, after half a year or so, we all had the same experience of getting a bunch of compliments from both guys and girls about, you look a bit broader, I can see you going to the gym. And I think mental health wise, it's probably the best thing I can do for myself. I notice when I go to the gym more often, my mental health is just better, because it's just a nice way of clearing out my thoughts when I'm at the gym and pushing myself, getting in the flow state, really does something nice for your mind. And overall, when you're in great shape, you stand out without even trying. At my current workplace, I'm seen as the strong guy, the guy that people, they will ask me to carry stuff around, which is not a burden, let me tell you that. It's actually quite a compliment, and I love doing that. And maybe they're thinking that it's an easy way to flatter me and get me to help them out, but I'd gladly help them out. And I'm happy that I'm seen as that guy and not the lazy fat slob that's not doing anything. So you'll get comments about, oh, what do you bench and what do you train? And you have a lovely physique and all this kind of stuff when you start taking fitness more seriously. And money-wise, I just think if you're financially stable, it gives you a lot more freedom, options, and peace of mind. And to be honest, when I look back at my early 20s, I really couldn't 100% focus about relationships because I was stressing out about what do I want to do in my future with my career? Why do I not make more money than I do currently? So even though I was telling myself that I wanted to focus on dating and becoming better socially, I think there was a much better time and place for that if I'd just been patient back then. In my opinion, if you're a guy at least, then I think your 20s are your prime years to build. I think you should sacrifice now and reap the rewards later. I think this is slightly different for women because a lot of women, they get a lot of attention when they're just 18 years old. Because unlike guys, I think women tend to mature a lot faster, and when guys are 18, they're typically these spotty, skinny guys that don't really have anything to show for them, while women have their youthful looks and they get a lot of attention already, so they can actually reap the rewards much earlier than guys can. For men, if you're in your 20s, I think these are your prime years to build. If I could go back in time, I would actually spend much more energy in my early 20s to build something useful for myself instead of just focusing on social dynamics, meeting people and dating. Of course, if you're at university, please do go out to the parties occasionally. Enjoy your time there, get some experiences under your belt, but don't focus obsessively over it. I mean, I had parties where I had so much fun and I wouldn't trade that for anything, those experiences. But my point here is don't obsess over the fact that you're not where you want to be socially. I think there'll be a time in your life where it becomes way, way easier. And just to hammer on this point, dates can be expensive. And you can waste a lot of time on shallow relationships. When I got into the dating scene and started dating a lot, I was dating a lot of women that I wasn't really that interested in when I look back. I didn't have that high standards when I started out. I had standards for the body types I would date. One of the main reasons I wanted to date a lot of women was to figure out what I really wanted in a partner and what I really liked. And I honestly think I took it a bit overboard to the point where I was just doing it mechanically. I was just going on a bunch of dates for no other reason than to go on a bunch of dates. And I think this was really a poor choice in terms of how much time I would spend on it. But yeah, one common concern that I've heard people asking in forums that I've been a part of, okay, if you employ this strategy of working on yourself in your 20s and not focusing on dating, when should you actually start dating? There's a strategy I really like to employ, which is to run these social summers, where during the winter time you're going all in on yourself and just your skill sets and your fitness. And then during the summertime, it's okay to ease back a bit on those things and focus more on being social and going out and meeting people. And of course, under the social bracket is also dating. I use dating as a way to be social. And this is when you can spend a couple of months just focusing a bit more on it. Let's say you just take 3 summer months out of the calendar, then you still have 9 months where you're going all in on the one thing you're doing. So it doesn't subtract a lot from that, but you actually get in some of the experiences. I know for me, I really couldn't do the whole Sigma grind set for 2 or more years. I really needed to get some kind of outlet during the summertime. And I think this is a great way you can integrate that if you're a young man in your 20s. That's building a skill set, a business. So I think the ultimate mindset here really is you don't chase women, you attract them by working on yourself. And I think there is a foolproof money strategy for young men that if I could go back, I would actually do this strategy instead of the ones that I've done to get me to where I am today. Step 1 is getting a stable, high overtime job close to your home. It can be some kind of factory close to where you live, and taking up as much overtime as you can, working nights, working holidays, working on New Year's Eve, to make as much as you can and save aggressively from 18 to 25. When I look back at when I was 18, I had no clue what I wanted to do. I just decided to go to uni because I guess that's what you do. If you do this, then you're already saving up a lot of money from when you were 18. And you'll probably have 100k saved up if you build this super saver identity, where you cut expenses, you work weekends, and you avoid lifestyle inflation. So imagine being 25 and having 100 to 200k in the bank from just working a lot. I know the factory work is probably going to be quite boring, But the thing is, you'll be set up for life if you do this. You can dump $100K into the S&P 500 or NASDAQ for passive income. And you can leverage this foundation to explore entrepreneurship or other passions later. I would have started university way later than I did if I knew about this strategy or realized this strategy when I was 18. I would have spent a couple of years figuring out what do I really want, and then I would go into university. And while spending time figuring out what I actually wanted, I would have saved up way more money by working a high overtime job. And yes, I know this strategy might not sound glamorous, it's not, but it's foolproof for the average guy. By 25, you could be semi-retired, living off your investments, and free to chase your dreams. On the topic of working overtime, I want to emphasize the power of sacrificing weekends. Because your weekends are your secret weapon. While others party, you're building your future. Things that I did in the years that I mostly stayed out of the dating scene and I was just focused on building up myself, I would go to bed early every Friday night. That means before 10 p.m. or at least 10 p.m. at the very latest. Then I would work 12 hours Saturday and Sunday, and I would avoid alcohol, parties, and unnecessary socializing, or at least keep it to a very minimum. There was the occasional party, of course, but I mostly said no to going out at the time. And when you do this, when you put all this time on yourself and focus on yourself as much as you can, you'll notice that you increase your confidence, you have a better financial standing, and you have more options in your life. Women will be naturally more drawn to you because you're on a mission, you're not chasing them, and you've built something that's worth noticing. And this is also what my partner has seen in me. I am now this guy that's very dedicated, that's matured a lot, and is quite successful in the vast majority of areas in life. So if you're a guy between 18 and 30, I think fitness and financial stability should be your only priorities. Dating can wait until you build a strong foundation. So I'd love to hear what you're focusing on right now, dating or money. Let me know in the comments and let's start a conversation. And thank you for watching.